course, the breaking news continues as to the investigation by the January 6th committee about, well, the riot on Capitol Hill that occurred that day in 2021. We understand now Alphabet, Meta, Twitter, Reddit, all being subpoenaed by the January 6th riot panel. Let's bring in Bloomberg technology host Emily Chang, who I'm sure been bracing yourself for some of this, and indeed Silicon Valley has been bracing themselves for it.
Absolutely, Caroline. You now have the select committee calling out these companies directly. Google and, of course, its platform, YouTube, Meta, its platforms, Facebook and Instagram, Reddit, as well as Twitter. The chair of the committee saying that these companies just haven't provided enough information and believes that they have critical information that could aid in this investigation. They singled out YouTube specifically, saying there were significant communications by users there who were actually live streaming the attack. They talk about Facebook, where messages were shared, misinformation was spread, the coordination of the Stop the Steal movement happened. They also single out the subreddit The Donald on Twitter, which, quote unquote, ultimately hosted significant discussion and planning related to the attack. Again, this according to the select committee, and Twitter for communications users had there as well. The committee saying that they've tried to get more information from these social media companies. They haven't ponied up this information, and it's time to get that information now, hence these direct subpoenas.
Emily, can you kind of give us a little clarity, though, here as far as what they're seeking? Is most of the stuff that they're seeking stuff that was actually posted publicly, or are they looking for something that was maybe going on underneath the surface that only those companies would be privy to?
It sounds like both. They talk about public communications, for example, many of the recent revelations about Facebook by the whistleblower, Frances Haugen. The committee has deduced, based on what they call public conversation and public revelations, that they believe Facebook knows more than it's been letting up. So it sounds like they want more, more information about what happened on these platforms, to be honest, in broad daylight, but also information about how the platforms handled this information. What did they know? What did they do to stop it, if anything?
And Emily, how do you think the technology companies respond to those questions, as well as questions about future investments into making these platforms more secure when you're talking about fair elections, for example?
So, look, these companies have always drawn a line between what's public and what's private. You know, they've always emphasized that they don't want to compromise the data of their users, but they're going to comply with the law to the extent that they have to, and they don't necessarily have a choice about that. All of these companies have announced, different measures and precautions that they're taking to protect communications, to safeguard the election. We've heard about the resources that these companies have committed to authentic dissemination of information. But it's easy to do all of that after the fact. And here you have the select committee saying not enough was done before this event and leading up to this event, and we want to know more.